you doing? Welcome to another edition of How the Freak Am I Gonna Do That? Projects with Chaz. Today's not really a project, it's a tutorial on how to duck hunt. I'm gonna show beginners how to gear up, what you need to have, and tomorrow morning we're gonna go duck hunting. And I don't know if I'm gonna actually shoot anything. We'll see if anything lands into my decoys or I can get anything close, but I'm gonna show you what gear you need. I've had a lot of friends who deer hunt. A lot of people say, oh, I'd like to try duck hunting, but I don't know what gear I need. So I'm going to show you what you should probably have as the basic baseline for gear. And anybody can do it. It's pretty fun. It's actually deer season here in Michigan. I went deer hunting once with my dad, saw some doe, that's about it. So I'm back duck hunting because you get to blast a lot of shells. You can talk. You don't have to be quiet. The ducks can't hear you. But you do have to be still, and it's crappy weather out, starting to freeze up, so during deer season I move away from all the rec areas. I usually hunt in like swamps and little potholes and little teeny lakes, but once deer season begins I get out of there because I don't want a slug to hit me in the head. So I'm on a big lake today. A lot of the smaller waters have skim ice on it in the morning. Ducks won't land on that, or your decoys, you throw your decoys out and they slide across the ice. So I'm in big open water, the ducks are looking for that, so hopefully we'll have something come in the morning. But I'm going to show you some gear here in a minute to get you started. Stay tuned! Alright, if you're interested in duck hunting, the first thing you need to do is buy a license. You can go to Walmart or a sporting goods shop, buy a license. In Michigan you need a base license, a waterfowl license, and then you need a federal duck stamp, which you can buy at the post office. Once you get the duck stamp, you put it on your license and you sign it. You can get a virtual one at Walmart and then they eventually mail you one in the mail. But you should always keep this in your bag with your ID. In case you get busted by the DNR. What do you wear? So here's what I wear, and don't rip on me in the comments because I am not the Duck Dynasty guys. I'm not from Arkansas like all the pros. I go out and I try to shoot stuff, and sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. But anyway, I usually wear a sweat wicking base layer long underwear top. Then I wear like another sweat wicking top, and then I wear a fleece. And then down below I wear some long underwear that kind of wick sweat. I wear some baseball socks because those wick sweat, and then wool socks over that because nothing's worse than cold feet, and cold feet are usually from sweaty feet. And then I wear a pair of pants, and then all that, and then I shove myself into my waders. I've got these at Cabela's. They're pretty thick insulated waders for cold weather. I'm going to be sitting in a boat tomorrow, but sometimes you got to jump out and retrieve stuff. If you can find these are helpful. They go around your pant leg, keeps your pants from riding up in the waders. You just kind of velcro them around the end of your pants. And some of the other gear you need. Well, obviously you need a gun. I'm not going to get into guns today because that's a whole other topic. But I have a 12 gauge in here, and this is a floating gun case. Sometimes I go out in a canoe or a kayak to like little islands and stuff, and if I roll or flip, at least I know my gun's not going to sink to the bottom like a rock. And as far as coats, I've got a Cabela's coat. It has like a base, and then it has the exterior shell. That's waterproof. And then you need a life vest. Anytime you're in a watercraft, you have to have a vest, at least in the state of Michigan. So don't get caught without that, or a DNR will be up your ass. So what else do we have here? I got a big bag. So you need a bag. Preferably a waterproof bag, because the best duck hunting is in crappy weather. Shells. So this thing, I clip it right to my waders. This is probably more shells than I need for a day's worth of shooting, but I carry 4-shot, 2-shot, and BBs. And I'll get into I'll do another episode on guns and shells at some other point, but figure out what kind of gun you have. Most likely you have a 12 gauge, at least that's what you need to start off with. And then figure out what size shells fit into your gun. and then get one of these things that hold shells, because you don't want to take a bunch of boxes out in your boat or kayak or whatever you're hunting out of and then have the rain get this all cardboard wet. Be a complete mess. So I hunt with these earmuffs. You can turn these on and turn them off, but when you turn them on you can talk and hear, and it actually amplifies sound, so you can hear ducks a little further away. You can talk to your buddy, but when you pull the trigger it muffs out the shotgun noise, so saves your eardrums. You can tell dudes who hunt who don't wear ear protection because they're like, huh? So you don't want to be that guy. Any kind of watercraft or actually out hunting, I always take a whistle. You never know when you might run into trouble, flip over. It's always a good idea to have that. I think it's the law anyway. Need a headlamp. Need a couple different types of headwear. Depending on if it's early season, I just wear a floppy hat. As it gets a little colder, I wear like this fleece hat, and this is a thicker hat because it's cold as balls out. Same with gloves. I start off the season with a real thin pair, and then I end up with this thick Gore-Tex pair. I got a fleece pair and then a thin pair. It's always a good idea to have like 2 or 3 pair with you anyway, because you get wet hands from retrieving decoys. Actually, I have neoprene gloves in the boat for retrieving decoys, but nothing worse than cold hands, so you might as well have some extras. Take a thermos, coffee, if you drink coffee. Take a water because you need to stay hydrated. It's dark, so you want a Q-beam so you can see where you're going in the morning. Or you can take a like a regular flashlight. You definitely need a headlamp because you need your hands free when you're setting up, throwing decoys, loading your gun. You want to be able to see what you're doing and have both hands to do it. Hand warmers, it's always a good idea. You can take these. Those are the traditional kind of hand warmers that you take skiing or whatever. But you can pick these up at like Cabela's or somewhere. These are power hand warmers. You charge them up and they work like a champ. I just sit there and hold on to them, and then if I see a duck I just drop them. Take some snacks, gotta have some food. Some duck calls. So where I hunt, there's wood ducks, mallards, and geese. So the wood ducks, the mallards, or the geese. So you can practice, get some duck calls. Don't skimp on the price. Get some good ones. And you can listen to videos online and figure out how to call these. Do it while you're driving down the road. Just get good at it. If you need some tips on duck hunting gear or how to go about it, I recommend subscribing to Ducks Unlimited. I'm not getting paid to plug them, but I'm a member and I got a lot of good tips. Shooting tips, gear tips, places to hunt. Need some decoys. I actually shot a duck last week and put a BB into this, so I gotta hit this with some glue. But you can hear there's a BB in there. And there's some other gear, and I'm going to show that to you in the morning in the boat. So, stay tuned. Alright, it's about 20 to 7. Shooting is at 7:05. So you always want to get here and set up and sit still for at least 20 minutes before shooting time. It's just kind of the rule of the land. So I got my Q-beam and I already threw decoys. I don't know if you can see this or not, but I got a spread here and I got a spread over there. The theory behind that is you leave a little gap in the middle and that's where the ducks will land. So there's a million different theories on setting decoys. You guys can review that yourself and figure out which way you want to go. But here's the inside of my boat. Got my shells, got my gun already loaded. I got camo up. Once it gets light out, I'll show you the rig. All right, opening bell was about a half hour ago, and I have yet to see a duck. I heard a lot of shooting on neighboring lakes. I'm at the end of a big public lake that we have a cottage on. That's the wetlands behind me, and there are cottages all around. I'd have to say maybe 10% of them are occupied year-round, so no big deal shooting. I'm more than 500 feet away from any structure, which is the law here in Michigan. So there's my decoys, just hanging out. And like I said, I'd normally hunt at a state park or a rec area. You can't hunt at state parks in Michigan, but you can hunt in certain rec areas. But because it's deer season, I don't want to take a slug to the head, because I'm about, what, 4 feet off the water. If somebody misses their target, they could easily hit me. So you can see I got the blind material over the boat. Got my gun in my lap. Got a mojo kicking. The flapping of the motorized wings draws attention to ducks, maybe from a far distance, because ducks have tunnel vision. They can see really far. Some people say not to use mojos after the first few weekends in the duck season, but I don't know, on big open water, there's so many places for the ducks to land that I think it helps attract them. So here's how I'm all rigged up. Got my headset on, got my camo coat on, and now it's just sit and wait. Alright, my mojo died, but I'm going to talk about different types of birds and know what you're shooting at. So ducks fly like a jet. Continuous motion of their wings gives them like a straight line look, whereas a flappy bird like a crow and other birds, you can see their wings flap. So I refer to them as flappy birds. So you can identify a regular bird from a duck. And over there's a swan. You want to make sure you don't shoot swans. Across the lake I've got diver ducks, a whole bunch of them, buffleheads. So diver ducks are ducks that dive down and eat crap off the bottom of the lake or river, and I don't shoot those typically because they taste like sardines. Now over here, I don't know, I've got a lone goose. I'm gonna try to call him in a minute. Goose meat is kind of dark, greasy, but it's all right. And there's actually a couple pair of loons on this lake, so can't shoot loons. That's against the law. So you want to, basically my point is identify, learn what different ducks and birds look like, watch them fly, bring a pair of binoculars, and make sure you're not shooting something that's either not allowed to be shot or something you don't want to eat, because that's just a waste. And that's my tip. Chaz tip. Alright, so I have a mallard that just landed outside my decoys. I've called him in. He's swimming right toward me, so if all goes well, I'm going to stand up and cap this duck. He's checking out the decoys. It's coming closer. And I got him. He's right over there. There's some geese coming right over me, but they're a little high. That's another thing you need to learn. Distance. What chokes in your gun and how high you can shoot, how far you can shoot. Those are totally out of range. They might be in range if I had a full choke in, but I have a wide open choke. for shooting ducks that come blasting in over my decoys. So I gotta go get my duck. My duck. Big fat mallard. Got a headshot. This is my mud motor. I'm gonna go pick up some decoys. Late morning, pretty much done. Haven't seen too much flying. So might as well quit while I'm ahead. So a push pole is good for pushing yourself around when you're trying to retrieve decoys. And I have this decoy pole. Has a little hook at the end. You just snag your decoy, pull her in. Gotta reach out, try not to flip out of the boat. Pull it in. Another thing you want to have in your boat is some oars in case your motor conks out. So I have a mud motor. If you use a traditional outboard motor, you can bury it in the mud and screw up your impeller. So this is basically a glorified lawnmower with a long shaft and just a prop at the end. So I can blast through mud and all sorts of lily pads and crap. So after I start it up and take off, I'll show you what it looks like. And it's attached to a 14-foot John boat. And this is a Cabela's blind. You can pick these up or you can make something. When I first started out, I made a blind out of PVC pipe and camo. And you need one of these. You need a throw floaty. I think that's code. In case you're hunting with a buddy and he falls in, you need to throw it to him if he's drowning. Alright, I picked up all my decoys. It's always good to have some trim gloves on. They're kind of waterproof. And I'll take it off. So I'm not going to get into how to clean a duck on this episode. That'll be another one. But what I do, just to give you a little heads up, is I pluck all the feathers. You just kind of rip them out. I get a brown paper sack. I put the duck in it and I pull all these feathers out because these will fly all over and make a mess. And I do it around here and I breast out the duck. You can trim the skin, make an incision, rip the breastplate up, snip it at the wings, and snip a few other things. And basically you take the big huge chunk of breast meat, which is the best part. There's not really much on these legs to fiddle with, and that's pretty much where all the meat is. Alright guys, I pulled my boat for the season. Here's what it looks like out of the water. It's a 14-foot John boat. Got a mud motor on here. You can pick these up used. You don't actually have to have a mud motor. Start out with a trolling motor or start out with a regular outboard. Just make sure you don't get it buried in the mud. Or you can just use paddles or use a kayak or a canoe. Just get to your spot, get a gun, get some decoys, get some basic gear, and you're ready to roll. So I'm going to wrap up this season with a duck, and I'm going to crack a brouhaha like all successful hunting seasons, and with a beer. So if you like this video, want to see some more, subscribe to my page, like my video, comment, and I'll see you next time.